What if I told you that the first lie I heard about the Gulf War wasn't spoken by a politician, but whispered between soldiers in a desert that smelled like oil and fear? I remember standing on the sand, helmet heavy on my head, staring at the black smoke rising on the horizon, thick, endless columns blotting out the sun. Someone beside me said, "That's what liberation looks like." Even then, something in my gut told me that wasn't the whole truth.
We can't stay here.
In the summer of 1990, I was 22 years old. I joined the army for college money, a steady paycheck, and a belief I'd been taught since childhood. America goes to war for the right reasons. When Iraq invaded Kuwait, the news hit us fast and loud. Televisions in the barracks showed maps with red arrows. Commentators repeated the same phrases over and over. Unprovoked aggression, threat to global stability, defending a small nation from a dictator. We were told Saddam Hussein was the new Hitler. Kuwait was the innocent victim, and we were the shield between civilization and chaos. At first, it made sense. Kuwait was sovereign. Iraq crossed a line. The world reacted. That's how history books say it works. By fall, we were on planes heading east, part of something called Operation Desert Shield. The name sounded defensive, noble, temporary. We believed we were there to protect Saudi Arabia, deter further invasion, and send a message. None of us thought we'd be there to fight a full-scale war. It was in Saudi Arabia that the cracks began to show. The desert wasn't just sand, it was infrastructure. Roads built for oil convoys, ports designed for tankers, airfields glowing at night like nervous systems lit up under the skin of the earth. We trained endlessly, but the enemy stayed distant, too distant. And then came the briefings. Slides showed Iraq's army as massive but fragile. Outdated tanks, poor morale, weak air defenses. This won't take long, they told us. But between the official briefings were other conversations, ones that didn't make it into PowerPoint slides. Veteran officers talked quietly about oil flow, shipping lanes, OPEC leverage, the petrodollar. One night, while cleaning my rifle, a sergeant muttered, "If Saddam controls Kuwait and pressures Saudi Arabia, he controls the price of oil. And if he controls oil, he controls more than fuel." That sentence stayed with me. I realized then, this wasn't just about borders. It was about power, disguised as principle. By January 1991, diplomacy collapsed. The deadline passed. Saddam didn't leave Kuwait. And suddenly, Operation Desert Storm replaced Desert Shield. The name changed, and so did the tone. The sky became our weapon. For weeks, we watched the night ignite, cruise missiles carving green arcs across darkness, bombs falling with mathematical precision. The ground trembled beneath us as if the desert itself was breathing in fear. CNN broadcast the war live. The world watched glowing explosions like fireworks. We were told this was clean war, smart bombs, minimal casualties, surgical strikes. But when the ground war began, it didn't feel clean. It felt fast, overwhelming, and terrifying. I remember crossing into Kuwait behind a wall of firepower so intense it felt unreal. Iraqi trenches burned, vehicles lay scattered like abandoned toys. Soldiers surrendered in droves, hungry, exhausted, terrified. These weren't monsters. They were kids like us, sent to fight a war they didn't understand.
That's when the question hit me hardest. If this was really about saving Kuwait, why did it feel like we were proving something to the entire world?
The climax didn't come during battle. It came afterward. After Kuwait was liberated. After Saddam's army was crushed. After the ceasefire. We stopped, abruptly. Orders came down, do not advance on Baghdad. Saddam Hussein stayed in power. That confused us, angered some of us. If he was the villain, why not finish the job? That's when the truth became clear, not spoken aloud, but visible in what we didn't do. The goal was never to remove Saddam. The goal was to restore balance, not justice. To show that no regional power could challenge the global order without consequence. To protect oil markets from monopoly. To reassure allies that American force backed American currency. To remind the world who controlled the rules of the game. Kuwait was the matchstick. Oil was the fuel. Credibility was the prize. And we, the soldiers, were the instrument. As Iraqi troops were treated along the highway north, we watched their vehicles destroyed from the air. Later, people would call it the highway of death. I remember thinking, this doesn't feel like defense anymore. It felt like demonstration.
When I came home, the war was already being framed as a triumph. Casualties low, quick victory, clear objectives achieved, parades, yellow ribbons, applause. But the questions never left me. Why was Saddam once America's ally against Iran? Why did sanctions starve civilians afterward? Why did American bases remain in Saudi Arabia, fueling resentment that would later explode into something far worse? Years later, when another war came, in 2003, I understood something I couldn't articulate back then. The Gulf War of 1991 wasn't the end of a conflict. It was the opening chapter. A war fought not just with bullets and bombs, but with economics, fear, and image management. From a soldier's point of view, the real reason we went to war wasn't hatred or even justice. It was control over oil, over alliances, over the message sent to every nation watching. And the lesson I carry with me now is this. Wars are rarely about the reasons you're given. They're about the reasons you're never told. And the people who carry the cost are almost never the ones who decide.